Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 3443. Today's date is 8th of June 2025. It's been almost like a night at 10:50 p.m. Alright, we directly jump into the question. Alright, let's go. Okay, so question is, what license do I need to start food business in India? Oh, that is a really good question. Okay, so what exactly does this mean and why I'm actually asking this question to myself? I'm not kind of like somebody wanted to sell any food or things like that. But why? Well, okay. In future, I wanted to do a business. I wanted to establish a startup. Yeah, not a food startup, by the way. Okay, I'm not kind of like somebody thinking of kind of like a restaurant and no, nothing like at all. But I am asking this question from business point of perspective, as well as I do well known regarding about what is actually food and things like that, and how do we kind of like, if I wanted to establish any food business or anything kind of like that, okay, what kind of like a stuff do I supposed to be needed, okay, or kind of like a what kind of like a paperwork or what kind of like a license or what exactly stuff do I need if I wanted to kind of like establish a food business. Okay, yeah, I know this topic is kind of like something really off topic, I might gonna not need it. Okay, yeah, but still, okay, yeah. So if you wanted to establish a food business, what kind of like a stuff do I need? Okay, yeah, like what, like if I wanted to establish food business and things like that, what there are a couple of things. Okay, yeah. First of all is that ki you have to be figure it out who you are. Okay, yeah. Let's just imagine you are kind of like a something making some sort of food, chips, whatever it is, chips, potato, or not potato chips, or kind of like a something um uh, banana chips, or whatever it is. Okay, yeah, it's a local business. Okay, yeah. So you made a chips and you wanted to deliver that chips in entire country. I'm talking about India. Okay, yeah. So how do I supposed to do that? Okay, yeah, like should I just package and kind of like pack the food and kind of like somebody delivered to the customer? Will it be possible? No, this is not possible. Okay, nothing really at all. Like you just pack kind of like a food and kind of like I said that ki, oh, my food, my chips are really good and I'm kind of like a shipping this chip to from Maharashtra to Karnataka and you will get your chips. Okay, yeah, but will it be possible? No, this won't be possible. Okay, yeah, why not? Okay, you'll just imagine. Okay, yeah, you made chips. Okay, yeah, you made banana chips, let's just say banana chips. Okay, yeah, you made banana chips. Okay, yeah, now you have to be kind of like a sell that chips to the other state of country. Okay, yeah, you cannot, because of that you really required a license, food and safety license, FSSAI. Okay, yeah, in India we have FSSAI is a kind of like some food regulations, safety regulation authority or things like that. Okay, yeah, it means that ki if you are a person who is selling a food to the customer, you need this license. Yeah, literally you need this license to sell the food. If you have kind of like assembly food, that means you have to be sell this food to the someone else, you need this license. Why is that? Why is that? Because let me tell you one thing now. Okay, yeah, like you think that ki you are doing something really good. Okay, you are making chips and you are selling to the customer, you are doing really well. Okay, yeah, but how does government knows that ki the chips that you are making is not harmful, or the chips that you are making is a kind of like a something that ki wrong or things like that? There are maybe lots of consequences. Okay, yeah, or maybe like the people that you are kind of like selling those banana chips, they might not digest that particular chips because they are kind of like a very different, they haven't really eat banana or things like that. I don't know, there are very different kind of like a peoples and very different kind of like a food too. Okay, yeah, like example is this thing that ki if someone is actually offering me sushi, Russian sushi, or sushi, the sushi where this come from, Italian sushi, I don't know, but they actually offer me sushi. I won't be able to eat sushi. Yeah, I know, I seen that sushi, but I can't eat sushi because I haven't really eat that sushi because it's kind of like a something very continental dish for me, and I haven't really eat that thing. And if someone is actually offering me, I am bitterly hesitate to eat that thing at first, but after sometimes I'm kind of like a somebody hesitate means like that I will gonna hesitate. I need to make sure that the stuff that I'm eating is good or not good. Okay, because let me tell you one thing na ki sushi is a kind of like a something cuisine, it's not get in India. Okay, like basically sushi, like you might gonna get sushi in kind of like a some sort of restaurant or things like that, but kind of like in large number of things, like you, it didn't really, yeah. So how would I supposed to believe that ki this sushi is a kind of like a something really good, or this sushi is a kind of like a something that ki doesn't really harmful for me? How do I supposed to knew that? I need a kind of like a something, a trusted something, a stamp or something that ki this is kind of like a some really good food. That stamp is actually essential, and that stamp is given by the FSSAI, Food and Safety Authority of India. Okay, yeah, it kind of like a gives you that the whatever the stuff that you are eating is kind of like a good. Okay, yeah, so it is really essential. So if I make banana chips, and if I want to sell banana chips to the any other state or any other cities, I need a kind of like a FSSAI standard, FSSAI kind of like a safety things. Okay, so how do I supposed to get that license? How do I supposed to get the FSSAI standard? How do I supposed to get it? First is that ki there are multiple things. Okay, first of all is that ki you are kind of like selling the food. Okay, yeah. What is exactly your like is your mass production, batch production, or what? Okay, yeah, like a single unit, like a basically food is not meant to be single unit, mostly batch production and mass production. What is a batch production and mass production? A batch production means like that ki you are kind of like a something making chips in particular batch, means like that ki I am making almost like a 10 kilo of chips, so 10 kilo is my batch. Okay, I am not making more, I am not making less, I am making exactly 10 kilo. This is my batch. All right, get it? This is called batch production. Okay, so after I make 10 kilo of chips, I have to sell that 10 kilo of chips. This is called kind of like assembly one batch. Okay, yeah, and this is called kind of like assembly batch production. Okay, yeah. Now there is a called mass production. Mass production means like that ki you are just selling, you are kind of like a, you don't really selling kind of like a 10 kilo of chips. No, you are selling continuously, like a basically you are achieving target, means like that ki you are kind of like a something making 10 kilo chips per day. That means you are kind of like making 300 kilos of chips per month. Okay, so like this is called kind of like a mass production. It's kind of like a too much thing. Okay, get it? Mostly food are mass production, they are not batch production, they are mostly mass production. Now what is actually stuff do I need? What kind of like assembly stuff that matter to me? Okay, yeah, first of all is that ki you have to be make sure that the ingredient that you are putting is exactly same or exactly kind of like assembly equal. It's not kind of like assembly very different all the time. What do you mean by that? When you are making chips, make sure that all the ingredients, all the masale should supposed to be same. Yeah, exactly the same. As well as the chips, you are making banana chips. Okay, yeah, the taste of the banana chips should supposed to be equal. It's not that ki kind of like assembly that ki these banana chips are little bit spicy and these banana chips are not spicy. No, it shouldn't supposed to be happen. Okay, yeah, make sure that ki every taste, every chips kind of like a taste exactly the same. First thing, ingredient should supposed to be same. Okay, yeah, whatever the ingredient that you are putting, every packet ingredient should supposed to be exactly is it. Okay, yeah, it is really essential because when you are evaluating the what kind of like ingredient, like you have a kind of like some responsibility to print what kind of like ingredient that you are put in that particular bag of chips, like how much protein it is, it how much sugar is it, how much kind of like a mass, whatever it is, you have to put all the ingredient that inside in the kind of like a 20 gram of chips packet, 20 or 30 gram of chips packet. Okay, yeah, so this is what really essential. So make sure that the ingredient that you are putting, okay, yeah, is exactly is it, the taste should supposed to be exactly is it. Okay, yeah. Now what is actually, if you wanted to kind of like a get that license, you have to be kind of like a send your product, send your chips to that particular FSSI FSSAI organization or company, or yeah, it's just like you just have to give your product. Okay, now those people kind of like a test your chips in multiple temperature. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing, does your chips get kind of like a something different at hot temperature, at cold temperature, or kind of like a something that key, what if it get wet, what is actually happened, what is actually your packaging. Okay, yeah, in the packaging what kind of like some air that you are put in. Let me tell you one thing, the lace, the potato chips lace, okay, big company who is actually putting the nitrogen in the gas pocket, in the plastic bag. Why? Nitrogen gas is a kind of like a something increase the shelf life of that particular potato chips. Okay, yeah, so you have to make sure that what kind of like assembly gases that you will gonna use to fill up the package and things like that. Okay, yeah, another thing is that ki, uh, quantity of bag. Okay, like a 20 gram, 50 gram, 100 gram of packet, make sure that, okay, regarding about this thing you have to put all the ingredient and things like that. Now what is actually, they do multiple tests, I'm not really sure, but they do multiple tests in multiple different temperature and things and that, and they will gonna verify. Okay, yeah, verify everything. Okay, yeah, that key, is this supposed to be good or not, what kind of like some harmful chemical will gonna happen. Okay, yeah, the testing takes time. What do you mean by that? It's not happen just you just kind of like a give you the chips and they will kind of like a, no, it's not, they take at least like a maybe month or two. Yeah, probably. Why? Because they make sure that ki, if the chips is actually sustained for like a 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 6 months. Yeah, so like basically the process of kind of like a checking your chips or kind of like a verify that chips that you are making is exactly good it is, they have to be kind of like a do the multiple test. Okay, time is also one of them that can make sure that ki, the key kind of like a something respect to the time, they will not gonna kind of like a something harmful or things like that, whatever, they do lot of stuff. Okay, yeah, but the minimum amount of time I'm not really sure, but probably it will take 2 months to 6 months probably. Okay, yeah, and they need a kind of like a so many samples. Okay, they need a kind of like assembly hundreds of samples of this packet, that packet, that packet, that packet. Okay, yeah, your packaging and things like that, like basically you are kind of like a kind of like a giving them a final product, a final chips, like a, with the packaging and things like that. Okay, yeah, you have to give them to the FSSAI. They will kind of like a do the testing for 6 months, and they will kind of like after that they will give you remark regarding about that key, you will get the stamp or not. You will get the stamp, that is good. If you didn't really get the stamp, they will gonna tell you that key, what is actually problem with this thing, what kind of like things you have to change this thing to do that and do that. Okay, yeah, and then this will gonna happen. Okay, yeah, so this is what kind of like a something FSSI gets stamp. Okay, like a, you will get approve from the FSSI, and then you are able to kind of like a sell your food product to the rest of the country. I'm just talking about the country. Okay, yeah, FSSI is a kind of like a something authorization to allow your food product only in India, not outside India. Okay, yeah, like if you wanted to sell your food outside of India or international market, then there is another standard. By the way, I'm not really sure about that standard, but it's a another standard. And as also in which country that you are kind of like a selling, so you need that country of standard. Like basically in India we have FSSAI, US has a kind of like a something very another food safety regulation, or authorization. So you have to take that permission too, you have to take that stamp and things like that. So yeah, so FSSI is actually allows you to sell your food product in India, only in India, not outside of India. Okay, yeah, get it. Now this actually you get the food license, and then you will kind of like sell your product. Okay, this is called kind of like assembly. Okay, let me tell you one thing. This is actually FSSI standard is actually meant for you are kind of like assembly selling the food product online. Okay, online, or you're selling the food product kind of like assembly by order, or kind of like a selling like you are selling the your food product in packaging. Okay, yeah, FSSAI standard is actually for packaging. Okay, yeah. Now what exactly happened ki, what if you are kind of like a something serve or some sort of restaurant. Okay, yeah, you are kind of like a somebody making a restaurant like a, I'm talking about food business na. Okay, restaurant is also one of the food business, right? So if I wanted to establish a food business, then what kind of like a license do I need? Do I need a FSSI license for this thing? Well, probably not. Why? Okay, FSSAI standard is actually meant for kind of like a complete product. Complete product will not gonna change. Okay, yeah. And basically FSSAI stamp is only available for mass production or batch production. It is not available for single unit. Restaurant is a single unit product. What is exactly mean by that? Okay, so there are three type of production that I already mentioned. Okay, batch production, mass production that I already mentioned. Single unit production is a kind of legacy production that you are focused on only one item. Okay, that is called kind of like a only single unit item. In restaurant, you are making multiple dishes. Okay, yeah, like you are making kind of like a something Chinese, or you are making sushi, or you are making multiple things regarding about the customers what they want and what kind of like a somebody offering. You are kind of like a making it that. Okay, yeah. And probably this is actually happened very fast, so probably there is no FSSAI standard. Actually there is no FSSAI stamp that you put on your dish, nothing really at all. So how do I supposed to make sure that the customer should supposed to eat very healthy food and things like that? Okay, what kind of like assembly safety rules are available over there? Okay, yeah. So when you are planning to establish a food business, specifically a restaurant, then it might be very different thing. Means like that ki it does something required uh, so a health check. Okay, health check of your kitchen. Means like that ki is your kitchen is really good or not. Means like that ki you you establish your restaurant, things like that, and you are kind of like a something health inspector, like you have to book the health inspector. Okay, yeah, health inspector will come in and they will gonna check the everything regarding about how much cleanliness that you have, what kind of like a ingredient that you are using, what type of ingredient that you are using, everything they are kind of like a check everything. Okay, yeah, this is and actually approval from the health inspector. Okay, yeah. Now another thing is that fire. Okay, yeah, because you are restaurant, you have big kitchens with kind of like multiple chef with a lot of burners and things like that. You are playing with a fire. Okay, yeah, which is kind of like a somebody very most common that fire incident will gonna happen. Maybe restaurant will caught up with the fire and things like that. So it is really essential that the fire safety should supposed to be available, like a fire extinguisher or sprinklers are available over there, not only the kitchen but as well as kind of like a something that key in a restaurant too. Okay, yeah, if something happened, as well as kind of like a something the vent. Means like that key exhaust vent, like a if the exhaust like a basically there are a lot of smoke will gonna happen when you make the food and things like that. So exhaust vent are really essential for exhausting all those things, harmful gases and things like that. So basically fire and safety approval is also really essential for establishing the restaurant business. Okay, yeah. Okay, now another thing is that key how this thing happened. Yeah, let me tell you one thing. Okay, yeah, like basically if you know the health inspector will gonna come, so probably you will gonna clean the kitchen all the time, right? Yeah, and health inspector didn't really find anything, so you will good to go, right? Yeah, but that is not okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing what exactly happened that key health inspector is kind of like a check regularly. Means like that key they will come, they will check. Okay, yeah, and then they will kind of like came after 1 month, 2 month or 3 month, and they will check the all the cleanliness things like that, what kind of like a stuff that you are offering and things. Okay, yeah, it it is kind of like control that. Health inspector kind of like understand that. GST is also really essential. Okay, for every business, GST is really essential. GST means goods and service tax. Okay, yeah, because you are earning so much amount of money, you need a kind of like some verification from the government that key you are earning money from this food business. So yeah, GST is really essential. Okay, yeah. Another thing is that key regarding about the food business, let me I just kind of like a some sort of thing that I might knew. Okay, yeah, liquor business. Okay, yeah. Okay, so basically if you are kind of like a serve some sort of food, okay, yeah, at sometimes you are kind of like a selling wine or alcohol too. Okay, let me tell you one thing in Indian point of perspective. Okay, yeah, we are living in India. Okay, in India, okay, liquor business should not included in food business. Okay, yeah, should not include in food business means like that ki if you went to restaurant, okay, yeah, and if you want to kind of like assembly wine or things like that, like in US, every food restaurant has kind of like assembly serve alcohol. It's a kind of like a something same, they are kind of like a serve alcohol with food too. Okay, in India it's not happened like basically in India, if you wanted to do this thing means if you wanted to serve food as well as alcohol at the same time at the one under roof, that means you need a liquor license. Okay, yeah, as well as it is be more expensive. Okay, yeah, and mostly is this thing na ki selling alcohol with respect to the food, only like a five-star hotel are can afford this thing, but mostly in hotels or mostly in restaurant business, food business and liquor business are kind of like a two different business. Okay, they are not merged. Okay, yeah. But if I went to five-star hotel, then they might gonna do that thing, but still. Okay, yeah. Why? Because in India, it's a kind of like a so much rules and regulation regarding about liquor business. Alcohol is a ban. Okay, yeah. And if you are living in Gujarat, then probably Gujarat is a dry state, and you will not gonna get any kind of like alcohol in Gujarat. Legally, illegally you can get that anything. Okay, but legally you cannot get anything at all in Gujarat. As well as like there are multiple things. As but a liquor business is a kind of like a something very different thing. Okay, yeah, it really required a license. Okay, liquor business license is a really essential to kind of like a serve a liquor business. Okay, yeah, GST registration. Okay, yeah, liquor business license is also really understand that key liquor business license is really essential. What kind of like a some liquor that you are kind of like a selling. Okay, yeah, what kind of like alcohol that you are selling. It means that key whatever the stuff that you know regarding about the alcohol, vodka, rum, scotch, whiskey, beer, wine, whatever it is, every beverages has its own percentage of alcohol. Okay, yeah, what do you mean by that? Okay, yeah, alcohol is a very toxic, very toxic kind of like a something chemical. Okay, yeah, if it enters in your digestive system, it might gonna kind of like hurt your liver and things like that. It is really wrong thing. Okay, literally really wrong thing. So basically in India, it's a kind of like assembly, the percentage of alcohol are included. It means that ki beer has its, I'm not really sure, but I'm just kind of like a giving them perspective. I'm not really sure how much exactly percentage of the beer is included, but perspective, I'm not really sure exactly is it. Okay, in beer, it's kind of like a mixture with 12% of alcohol. Okay, means like that if you get 750 ml of bottle, it will kind of like a something 12% of alcohol is actually mixture with the soda and things like that. Okay, so that is called 12%, that is called beer. Okay, yeah. In wine it might be kind of like a 35% or 40%. In scotch it went to 45 or 50%. Or if you went to rum or anything like there is percentage of the alcohol is actually included. Okay, yeah. There are some sort of limit in India that ki uh, after this you are not kind of like a something like after this percentage of alcohol you are not should supposed to be add like basically 75% of alcohol shouldn't supposed to be add in any beverages or any kind of like a something nothing at all. Okay, yeah, in India we have that thing. Okay, I'm not really sure this thing, but percentage of the alcohol is really essential of any liquor beverages. Okay, yeah. And according to that, the license is actually given to the, as well as there in India we have a wine shop. Okay, yeah. And in the wine shop, it is really essential that okay, what kind of like a wine that you are serving. Okay, yeah. Let me give you the perspective. I'm living in India. Okay, yeah. And in India, we actually make wines too. We actually make alcohol too. And how yeah, we actually make alcohol too. Okay, yeah, it's not really that like every country makes the alcohol, but problem is that na ki, because India is a very cheap country. Sorry, not a cheap country probably, but the most of the population are in India are kind of like a simply not earning that much amount of money. Okay, yeah, but they wanted to kind of like wanted to feel that alcohol, they wanted to drink the alcohol and things like that. The prices of the alcohol in India is a very expensive. Like if you wanted to buy like a 750 ml of bottle of alcohol or any kind of like a simply bumper, it will cost almost like a 2000 rupees minimum. 2000 rupees minimum. Okay, yeah. And if you want to kind of like a one kind of like a 90 ml and things like that, it will cost almost like a 200 to 300 rupees minimum. I'm talking about just a minimum amount of 200 300 rupees. It's still way more expensive for the kind of like a tier 3 people who is actually earning 500 rupees per day. Okay, yeah. So which is they can't really afford, and if they wanted to kind of like a drink that particular alcohol, they can't afford. So what does they do? They drink desi daru. Okay, yeah. What's the desi daru? Desi daru means like that ki daru is actually created by the bunch of people who mix some sort of thing. I'm not really sure about what kind of like ingredient that they are using, but the way that the ingredient are used are almost exactly the poisonous, because there is no kind of like a regulation, there is no control, there is nothing really at all. Okay, and they are kind of like selling it black without any standard authorization, without any regulation, nothing really at all. And they are selling it very cheaply, like a basically almost like a 200 ml of alcohol you will get less than 10 rupees or 20 rupees, which is like a literally so much cheap. Okay, yeah. And this is kind of like a very dangerous for your health as well as your life too. I seen so many people who actually drink that particular desi daru, and after that they will get kind of like a something, I don't know. Yeah, there is a lot of consequences happen over there. Okay, yeah. So in India, we are like a basically all those police inspector are kind of like a somebody try to find this thing and try to not to do this thing, because doing this particular like making this desi daru thing, it's a something like that ki illegal. Okay, yeah, but people are make it, people are selling it, it's something wrong. I don't know, like yeah, the police is actually taking the actions, but I'm not really sure that ki the liquor business are allows that desi daru too. But still, I seen that at some sort of wine shop they are actually selling desi darus too, without knowing anything regarding about what kind of like ingredient that they are making, and is it kind of like something harmful for them or not. Okay, yeah. So this would be a kind of like a very problem, but still, but if you are kind of like a selling the alcohol, liquor license is also really essential. Also, liquor license is really hard to get. Another thing, liquor license get super expensive in India. Super expensive, dude. Okay, let's just say like if you wanted to get the FSSAI or kind of like a regulation, you will require at least like a 10,000 or maybe like a 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. I'm not really sure the money cost, but probably. But if you wanted to kind of like get the liquor license, dude, okay, yeah. Like it's a lot of regulation, like you won't be able to market the liquor, you won't be able to do anything at all. As also kind of like you will get the license without any kind of like a do any marketing or things like that. It comes with a lot of rules and regulations, and probably, but let me tell you one thing. Yeah, let me tell you one thing. India, alcohol doing an alcohol business is a kind of like a very tough, very tough. Like literally, you can sell gold or maybe oil in here, which is not actually you will find in here. Okay, but still, selling alcohol in India is a super difficult. But still, people loves it, and it's a kind of like a simply one all the time. This business is flourish all the time, all the time. In the festival it is even more. Okay, so liquor business is really amazing, and basically not only the liquor business but as well as government gain profit from the liquor business too. It's like really crazy, dude, really really crazy. Okay, yeah, but still if you wanted to get the food license, like FSSAI is the first thing. Then if you are kind of like a doing the restaurant, then probably the health inspector, authorization from the health inspector, fire department, liquor license. These are kind of like a things, okay, as well as all the basic things like a GST, PAN and everything, all those information, everything. Okay, these are kind of like a stuff do I need. Okay, yeah, this is kind of like a stuff that's need. Okay, regarding our how do you supposed to sell your product or how do you supposed to sell your food is up to you. Like you have to figure it out, the food and shape and the taste and everything, and the ambience lighting and marketing, and it's a lot of thing, reputation. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. Selling a business in India or doing a business in India is a almost crazy experience. Whatever, this is it, I should supposed to be end here, and thank you.